What's going on, everybody? I know it's late on the East Coast. It's late for my East Coast people, but I'm still gonna do this. And anybody who's asleep on this, what day is today? It's a Saturday, so anybody who's asleep who's missing this while I'm live, they can catch it on replay. What's going on, everybody? Y'all checking in? Shout yourselves out. Tell me your name and location in the comments section. I'm on the West Coast, so not my normal setting. And it's only 9 o'clock here. I don't know why my second phone still got the wrong time on it, but I'm on the West Coast, so that's why I can do this live. It's only 9 o'clock here. But those of y'all on the East Coast, I know it's late, or y'all might be out. You might be out doing something. Shout out to everybody who's home on a Saturday night on the East Coast. So we got Keith from Philly. Appreciate the badge. JT, Coin Rings. Appreciate the badge. Now I gotta make sure I deliver. Canada's in the house. Keith from Philly. What's going on? Shout out to Philly. Shout out to Mount Airy. That's my hometown, my home neighborhood, uptown. Germantown, West Oak Lane, North Philly, South Philly, Fishtown. What neighborhood I know? West Philly, Southwest, bottom, Lower Marion, where Kobe's from. That ain't Philly. That's outside of Philly, but y'all get it. Yeah, I'm on the West Coast for a couple of days. I've been traveling this whole half of late last week, and then going into next week, I'll be traveling. So California now, and it's not that warm out here. You know, people think California is all warm, but it ain't that warm. It's like 60 degrees. Miami's hotter. Shout out to Dabber Dean. What's going on? Appreciate the badge. We're gonna talk about some business mistakes that you should never make. That's what we're gonna talk about here today. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Dre Baldwin. I'm a former 9-year pro athlete. Some people know me as Dre all day. I create this whole brand and framework called Work on Your Game, and I'm live on Facebook as well. So shout out to everybody on Facebook. If you are checking in on Facebook, shout yourself out in the comment section. Shout out to Detroit. Detroit is in the house. I've been to Detroit. When was the last time I was in Detroit? It's probably about 2018. It was in the wintertime. It was cold as ever up there, but shout out to Detroit. I got some clients from Detroit. But I created this whole framework and business called Work on Your Game, where I took all the stuff that you need to make it in sports, and I translated that over to what you need to make it in business. So what I do these days is I work mainly as a business coach. I have business coaching programs. So any of you who's an entrepreneur, you're a professional who is looking to do some entrepreneurial things, you got an entrepreneurial mindset, we have systems, we have frameworks, strategies, and all of that stuff for business professionals. If you like what you hear on my social media posts, you like the stuff you see in my emails or the captions that I write or what I do in these lives, then you will probably get a ton of value. Not probably, you will get a ton of value if you came into our program is called Work on Your Game University. So you can go to that link that you see that I have pinned here, or just the link on Facebook is in the comments, and on Instagram, it's in my bio, the link to workonyourgameuniversity.com, where we basically take a wholesale approach to everything you need to be successful in life, from the mindsets to the strategies to the systems to your personal stuff, discipline, confidence, to your fitness and your health. We got courses on that. All of that is inside of workonyourgameuniversity.com. So what I've been doing this week, I was speaking at a conference. Today is Saturday night. Man, things is all scrambled in my head. It all blurred together because I'm on the West Coast, so you get 3 extra hours in a day. So my body feels like it's midnight, but it's only 9 o'clock. But yesterday, it was just yesterday, I spoke at a conference in Orlando. That was at a sales event. They had a sales summit. I spoke there at that conference, the Sandler Sales Summit, or Sandler Summit is what they call it. And then I came here to Cali today. So to this next couple days, I'm going to be attending an event. I'm not speaking at this event. I'm attending this event. So this is an event that I invested my own money in, so I can learn some more things about how to better get that program that I just told you about, Work on Your Game University. How can I better get that out to people and make sure that we're giving people even better and higher value so that they're getting even better results. So we look better, you look better, everybody wins. And when you make more money, even the government wins because they get a cut of it when you pay taxes. So everybody wins in the process when everyone steps their game up. So what we're going to talk about here today are things to never do in business. These are mistakes that people sometimes make when they're running their businesses. or starting your business, or you might have been doing this the whole time in your business and you didn't even realize you were making a mistake. I'm going to clear up what these mistakes are. I'm going to point them out, tell you why they're mistakes and why you should not do them, what you should do instead. So let's get right into it, and we'll get into these points. We'll see how long we go today, because I do need to get sleep. I barely slept last night. I slept like 4 hours last night, then a cross-country flight. Good thing it was a nonstop flight. Then I had to take an Uber. It was like an hour Uber ride from LAX to get to where I'm at now. So I need to get some sleep, and then tomorrow we back at it. Anyway, and I ran today. I went and ran on Pacific Coast Highway out here. It wasn't even that hot. It was like 70. It was a little drafty 70. So I need to recover. That's what I need. But we're going to put the work in first. So everything I tell y'all about, I do. Number one mistake you should not make in business is never delegate or abdicate the handling of the checkbook. Never, ever delegate or abdicate the handling of the checkbook. Abdicate just means to let somebody else take something over. Do not allow that. Do not do that in your business. Definition of abdicate is to fail to fulfill or undertake a responsibility or a duty. And that's the reason why I use that word. It's an important word, and I'll explain why I'm saying that, because the handling of the checkbook is your responsibility. It is your duty as an entrepreneur. When you run a business, you need to be watching the checkbook. Now, that does not mean, to be clear, it doesn't mean you can't have an accountant. It doesn't mean you shouldn't put your money in the bank and you should hide it all under your mattress or keep it in paper bags. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is every dollar that comes in or goes out, you need to know about it. That's what I mean. If you stop paying attention to the dollars coming in or the dollars going out, that's when things start going wrong. Either you could have an unscrupulous person who notices that you're not paying attention. They will take advantage of you by embezzling from your company. Or you just may have people who are just not that sharp at watching the money. Since you're not doing it, somebody else is doing it. They're not as good as you. They don't care as much as you, and they just mess it up. They fumble the ball, right? Like Gucci Mane had the song, I get the bag and tumble it. You get the bag and fumble it, right? So they get the bag and fumble it because you let them get the bag. So don't let them get their hands on the bag. You need to be paying attention to all the money at all times. Even if somebody else has a job of watching the money, you need to be watching them. All right. So like Biggie Smalls said in one of his songs, Notorious B.I.G., said, I got lawyers watching lawyers, so I won't go broke. All right. That's what you need to be doing. So if you have somebody else doing the job of looking over your money in whatever way, it is your job to look over them so that they don't mess up the money. Because if you're not making money or you are fumbling the use of the money, then why are you even in business? I mean, what's the point of you being in business if you're fumbling the use of the money? That's probably not a good idea. So always be watching the money when you are running a business, okay? Remember that your number one job as a business owner is to create revenue and create increased value for shareholders. And what that means in very simple terms is the people who own the business should be making money. That's the purpose of owning a business, is that the person who owns the business is making money. Shareholders just means people who own any part of the business. If no one owns a percentage of your business other than you, then guess who the shareholder is? You. You're the 100% main shareholder in your business. It is your responsibility to increase value. In other words, put money in your own pocket. That's your job. So if you're not watching the money, how can putting money in your pocket be your number one job? You're not watching the money. That doesn't even make sense, right? So your number one job is watching the money. Watch the money. All right. Remember Jay-Z, about 12 years ago, Jay-Z and Kanye West put out an album called Watch the Throne. You remember that album, Watch the Throne? Okay. So this album is called Watch the Money. All right. When you run a business, your album is called Watch the Money. All right. Always watch the money. You want to have and keep more money, be watching the money. All right. So all of you who are entrepreneurs, you need to be looking at the money like all day, every day. When I wake up in the morning, first thing that I look at when I pick up my phone, after I've taken my morning notes and all that stuff, I look at the stats from the audio version of my podcast to see how many people listened to the show the previous day and what we got so far is usually very early in the morning. Then the very next thing I look at is I'm looking at the money. I'm looking at the money, which means I'm looking at sales numbers from overnight, what we did the previous day, what we've done so far that day, what we spent on ads, and then I'm looking at the accounts. All right, what got charged? What do we owe? What's coming up? What are the balances? What are the statements? I'm looking at every single account that involves money, every single one, every single day. Those are the first things I look at. I look at the podcast stats. I do my morning notes, podcast stats, and then I'm looking at the money. Those are the first three things I look at when I pick up my phone in the morning. And I'm not telling you have to do it that way, but what I am telling you is you need to be watching the money. And during the course of the day, We check the money several times over the course of a day. I'm checking, not we, I check the money. All right. You need to be checking the money at all times, especially if you're selling things online, meaning somebody can buy something from you and you don't have to talk to them. That means there's things that can be going on in your business that you're not even aware. You're on a flight for 5 hours. Something happened in your business. You need to know what it is. Who bought something? What did they buy? Who are they? What do you need to do next? All right. What is this telling you about what you're doing? What is this saying about the way you're running your ads? Or you spent money on ads while you were on that plane or while you were sleeping. You need to be looking at that and finding out how much did you spend, what happened, what's working, what's not, what do we need to change? This is your number one job. You got that? And every dollar that comes out of your account, you need to know about it. If a dollar gets spent, you should know about it. If a check gets written, you should know about it. There are business owners out there who, even when they have very large businesses, they make sure that every time a check gets written, they sign it. Meaning they don't allow anyone else to have what they call power of attorney, where they can sign a check from your company, but you don't even know about it. They don't allow that because that's how you end up getting robbed. Right? Somebody can steal money from you because they can set up a fake company and just write checks to themselves, and now they got all your money. And before you figure it out, the money's gone, they're gone, and now you're out of money. So every single dollar that comes out of your business, you should know about it. Every dollar that comes into your business, you should be knowing about it. You should be made aware of it. It doesn't mean you have to go and do a deep dive on every single person who buys something from you for $1. But if you made $10 today, you should know that you made $10. Like somebody stopped you on the street and said, how much money your business do today? You should know. How much money you spend in ads, you should know. If it's zero, you should know that it's zero. If it's $1, you should know that it's $1. You should know what's going on in your business. This is the number one thing you do in business is pay attention to the money. All right. If there's no money, there's no business. Everything that you do for a business, if there was no money attached, you can still do it. You just wouldn't be in business. So since you're in business, watch the money. Point number 2. We are talking about 3 things that you should never, ever, ever do in business. Number 2, never invest in things that you do not understand and cannot explain. Now, this one is important simply because all of us have different knowledges in different areas. We have different domain expertise. That simply means some of us know more about certain things than others do. I know a lot of things about, let's say, something like basketball. I know a lot about that. When it comes to things like creating content and building a business around content, I know a lot about that. When it comes to podcasting, I know a good amount about that. But there are other areas where you, based on your domain expertise, you probably know more than I do. So some of you are experts in, maybe you work in a financial space, or you work in insurance, or you have been putting your time in real estate. You've been 10 toes down in real estate. So you know a lot more about that. So it would make sense that if I'm going to invest in something, I'm going to invest in something that I understand really well. And if you invest in something that you understand really well, which means we will have different investments because I know things that you don't know. You know things that I don't know. So that means you should not invest in something just because you see other people investing in it. That's a simple enough idea. If you invest in something, you need to understand it and you need to be able to explain it. If you cannot explain it, do not put your money into it because you will lose your money. Understand something about the investment world, folks. By the time the news gets to the mainstream that something is a quote unquote good investment, the people who are going to make the most money off it already made their money. They already got their nut. They already made their money by the time the mainstream finds out and has an opportunity to get into it. So don't jump on anything just because the news or whoever is getting all excited and telling you this is going to be a great investment. There have been plenty of those that didn't go the right way. Maybe temporarily they work, but in the long run, a lot of times they end up not. So when you invest in anything, you need to understand it. And the better you understand it, the better you can decide what to do about an investment, whether it does make sense to jump in, even if you're quote unquote late, or if you should sit that one out and hold on to your money until you can invest in something that you understand. I sent an article out via email, and everybody's at a different spot in my email sequence, but Warren Buffett talked about this back in the, I don't know what years this was. This is back before I was born. There was this baseball player named Ted Williams. Most of you probably don't know who he is, but Ted Williams was the last guy in baseball. I think he was the last guy to hit 400 in a season. And 400 is like a holy grail in baseball. So this guy hitting 400 in a season would be like a player shooting 50% from 3-point in basketball. Like Steph Curry doesn't even shoot 50% from 3-point. In the season, he might shoot 45, 46%. Him, Klay Thompson, the best shooters out there. That'd be like if Steph Curry shot 50% from 3. That's crazy, right? So that's what Ted Williams did in baseball. He hit 400, which is 40% of the time when he came up to bat, he got on base. And Ted Williams explained his hitting philosophy, which was he had broken down the strike zone in baseball because there's a certain area that's a strike, a certain area that's not. He broke it down into like 83 little tiny boxes. I don't know how exactly he did this, but this is how he did it. He broke the strike zone down to 83 little tiny boxes, and he understood where the ball needed to be for him to swing at it so that he can get a hit. He knew if the ball was in one of these boxes, like let's say 35 boxes, if it's in one of those, I should swing at it because I know I get a good hit and I'll get on base, and that's how he had such good percentage. But he said if I swung at any of the ones that was not in one of those 35 boxes, I would either miss or I would hit the ball in a way that I would end up being out. I would not get on base, and it would hurt his batting average. So he understood this. So all Ted Williams did, he said, when I went up to bat, all I would do was wait for a pitch that was in one of those 35 little boxes. If the pitch came and it wasn't in one of those 35 little boxes, I didn't swing at it. And that's why I hit such a high percentage, because I only swung at the pitches that I knew I could hit and that would end up being a good outcome. That's what Ted Williams, the baseball player, did, right? He hit 40%, which no player has done. Warren Buffett, everybody knows who he is. All right, you don't know Ted Williams. Everybody knows who Warren Buffett is, right? The most famous investor in the world. Warren Buffett said that they invest in companies the same way that Ted Williams swung at pitches in baseball. They did the same thing that Ted Williams does, that they know exactly what kind of businesses that they want to buy. They know exactly what they want to invest in. So Warren Buffett has a formula. All right, we can probably guess that. Even if you know nothing about Warren Buffett, if you never read anything about him, you know he's a great investor and he makes a lot of money. He usually makes money on his deals. Why does he make money on his deals? It's not because Warren Buffett is a genius. It's not because Warren Buffett can see the future and nobody else can see the future. Because Warren Buffett has a philosophy, he has a framework, and he and his business partners know exactly what kind of opportunities they're looking for. So if Warren Buffett gets sent 1,000 opportunities to invest, which he does, because he's the most famous investor in the world, Warren Buffett does not invest in all 1,000. What does he do? He looks through the 1,000 and he says, out of 1,000, I'm just making this number up, but Warren Buffett will say, out of 1,000 investments that we get sent, maybe 75 of them are worth even looking at. So the other 925, he immediately throws out without even thinking about it. Then the 75 he looks at, and then he has criteria for those, and that might get whittled down to 25. Then he got criteria for those, that might get whittled down to 3, and then he invests in those 3. So out of 1,000, he might only invest in 3, but not because he's some clairvoyant genius. Again, he invests in 3 because he knows exactly what he's looking for in every single opportunity so that he doesn't swing at a pitch that he can't hit. Everybody follow what I'm saying here? Everybody get the analogy here? And this is what you need to do when it comes to any type of investment, any kind of investment. When it comes to an investment of, if you're going to invest your time, if you're going to invest your money, if you're going to invest your attention, if you're going to invest in any kind of assets, like a stock, or you're going to invest in some kind of real estate, or somebody comes to you and they say, well, I know everything about this. You don't know anything, but I know everything. Trust me, just give me the money and you're going to make money on this. If you can't understand it and you could not explain it to a 5th grader, do not invest. Everybody got that? So we call this the 5th grader test. All right, anything that you're doing, if you're going to invest in it, you got to pass the 5th grader test. What's the 5th grader test? 5th grader is usually somewhere around 10 years old, right? Any of you got a kid that's around that age, about 10 years old? Here's how the 5th grader test works. Anything that you're going to invest in, explain it to a 5th grader. If the 5th grader cannot understand you, you should not be investing in that thing because you don't understand it well enough to make it clear. Everybody got it? That's the 5th grader rule. Anything that you're doing, explain it clearly enough that a 5th grader can understand it. If you're going to give a speech, if you're going to give a sales presentation, even if you wrote a book, unless you happen to be like a scientist or a doctor where maybe you have some very deeply technical terms, but if you're in the self-help, personal development, professional development space, 5th graders should be able to understand what you're talking about. I gave a speech yesterday in Orlando. A 5th grader could have heard that speech and they would have got it. Now, was it made for them? No, but they would have understood what I was saying. That's the point. They should be able to understand you. So any of you who's invested in anything, if a 5th grader asked you, what is that thing you're invested in? Why you have that much money in it? What does it do? If you can't answer and make it clear for a 5th grader, you might want to get your money out of that. I'm just saying. All right, you ain't got to do it. This is not investment advice. It is, but it isn't. It's not financial advice. Let's say that. It is investment advice. It's not financial advice. Do not invest in anything that you don't understand. All right, 5th grader. Can you explain it to a 5th grader? You should use that framework with damn near everything that you do anytime that you're talking. Can a 5th grader get it? And if you have a kid who's around 10 years old and you write something, let your 10-year-old read it and ask them to explain to you what they just read. And if they don't get it, then you need to clarify your writing. is another thing that any of you is familiar with. Well, you don't have to be familiar with it, but we all know the presidential election, right, is the most popular election cycle that happens in America every 4 years. Do you know that the presidents who win elections, so let's going back, Biden, Trump, Obama, Bush the second, Clinton, the first Bush, presidents who win elections or people who win elections, period, you know that usually their speeches, because they go and transcribe the speeches that the presidents say, and they have it evaluated by like this AI software. And AI software says that the presidents who win usually speak on, at the highest, a fourth or fifth grade reading level. Like the words that they use in conversation when they give their speeches, they speak on a fourth or fifth grade reading level. They're not speaking on a collegiate level. Like they're not trying to sound super smart by using big words and compound phrases. They use very simple words, short sentences, simple terms that anyone can understand. Now, why would the president need to do that? Why would somebody who's running for president, the most important job in America, why would somebody running for president need to do that? The reason that they do that is because they're trying to reach the masses of people. And understand that in a country with 330 million people, not everybody is as smart as you. Not everybody is a college graduate. That's damn sure true. So if you speak on a level that is too high for people to understand you, they will not raise their hand and say, can you explain that again? Because what you said is you're talking a little bit too smart for me. Most people will never admit that. What they'll do is they'll move on to somebody who they do understand. That's why I want a person who speaks in more simple terms usually has a bigger audience. They can draw a bigger audience over time than someone who speaks in very complex terms, simply because there are fewer people who are available to understand you. Now, again, if you're like a molecular biologist or a brain scientist or a neurologist, hey, maybe you can speak in very specific terms because you're only speaking to a specific audience. And that's fine if you're doing this strategically. Just understand that anytime you're explaining something, anything, an investment, your business, whatever, a fifth grader should be able to understand what you're doing. And if they can't, you need to make it more clear for you so you can make it more clear for everybody else. Because if a fifth grader can't get you, trust me, some of your clients and your prospects, they won't become clients because they don't understand what the hell you're saying. They don't get you either. All right. So clarity. And there are apps, there are software apps these days that you can take anything that you write or anything you're going to say, get it transcribed if it's spoken, and you can put the text into the software and it will tell you what reading level your words are. It will tell you you're speaking on a seventh grade level, you're on a collegiate level, you're on a high school level, you're on a first grade level. You want to be as simple as possible when you're trying to reach a mass of people, because again, it makes it easier for everybody to understand. Then it can be more inclusive and it gives you a chance to reach more people. And a lot of you want to reach more people. So again, if you're trying to reach a niche, fine. But if you're not, simplify. Number 3, we're talking about things to never do in business. I'll recap these in a second. Number 3, never do a business deal with somebody that you do not trust. And most of you will say, well, I already wouldn't do that. Well, here's the caveat. Don't do a business deal with somebody you do not trust because of the greed of what you stand to get from doing that deal. So some of you are like, well, Dre, I would never do a business deal with somebody I don't trust. I'll say, okay, let's think of a person who you know that you don't trust. A person you would not do a deal with because you simply don't trust that individual. Anybody you've ever dealt with in life, you don't trust them, right? You wouldn't do a business deal with them. What if they came to you and they showed you and they explained it to you with the clarity that a fifth grader can understand how doing this deal can make you $100,000, $1 million, whatever amount of money gets you excited. You can make this deal. You get in quick, you get out quick. And it is very clear. You can understand it. You can see how it's going to make money. And you see that there's an opportunity there. Now, would you do the deal? See, it's easy to say you wouldn't do a deal with somebody you don't trust because maybe they didn't come to you with a deal. Let's say they come to you with something that looks surefire. You can understand it. It makes perfect sense. You can see how you're going to make money. You're like, oh, this is an easy lick right here. I put 5,000 into this, I can make 50. I put $100 into this, I can make 1,000. I put $1 million into this, I can make 10 million. You see how you can make money from it. It's very clear how they explain it and show it to you. But the issue is you don't actually trust this individual that much. What do you do? Do you do the deal or do you not do the deal? See, this is where it becomes a dilemma. See, it's one thing if they bring you some garbage and you're like, it's garbage and I don't trust this person. It's easy, no. But when now you gotta weigh both of those at the same time, that's the one that I'm talking about here. Never do this deal. Do not do business with people that you don't trust, regardless of how much of an opportunity they are offering you. That's the principle. Everybody understand? Never do business with somebody who you do not trust. A business person once told me, anytime somebody wants to do a business deal with you, ask them to provide 3 references of people that they've done business with in the past who would do it again. Say it again. Anytime you're going to do business with somebody, whether you're going to hire a coach, you're going to go to somebody's conference or event, or you're going to do a joint partnership with somebody, ask that person to show you 3 references. 1, 2, 3. 3 references of people that they've done business with in the past who would do it again. Basically 3 pieces of social proof. 3 people who would do business with that person all over again. And in the internet era, we call that social proof, but that's literally what it is, social proof. And this is why usually when you go to somebody's website, if they're selling something, even if they're not selling anything, they're just selling themselves, usually what do you see on their website? You see a bunch of testimonials. You see screenshots of things that people said. And you see videos of people talking about how great it was and talking about how much money they made or how much weight they lost or how amazing this one person is. And why do people have that on their site? Because they're giving you social proof and showing you, listen, all these other people have worked with me, trusted me, and based on what they said, the positive feedback, they will probably do business with me again. So why would you not do business with me? And this is not a scam. That's a good thing. It's a smart thing. This is why any person you see who's selling anything usually has a good amount of social proof on their site. And actually, the more social proof you can provide, the more you allay any kind of anxieties or fears that your prospects might have about doing business with you. They want to see that. They want to see the social proof. They want to know that you actually have it. I have a web page. I took one of my domain names. I just put the whole page. All it is just social proof. All I'm doing is just giving more and more social proof. Every time I get more social proof, if I remember, I just put it up on that site. So then if somebody ever asks me, hey, do you got any feedback? Do you have any testimonials of people you worked with in the past? I say, yes, go right here. And on that page, they can see all the social proof. So any of you want to see that site, I'll put the link right here. It's alldreallday.com. So that is where we put all the social proof, but any page that I have. So you go to Work on Your Game University, and you go to the courses page, you're going to see social proof. You go to the Bulletproof Bulletin Black Book, you're going to see social proof. And people post this on social media all the time. In my stories, I will post social proof. Somebody sends me a text message and says something positive that has helped them from something that I shared with them. I post that. Why? Why do I do that? I do that because I'm showing you, person who didn't say it, hey, look, these other people are already doing the thing that I'm telling you to do, and look what positive they got out of it. Why aren't you doing it? So that's social proof. It's peer pressure. Social proof is a form of peer pressure because if everybody else is doing something and you're not doing it, then you feel left out. Hey, man, everybody's doing this and it seems to be working. Why would I not do it? So anybody who you do not completely trust, again, be careful of doing business with them. You will always get burned in the end doing business with people who are unscrupulous and people who you, for whatever reason, do not trust. Okay, even if they actually come through. Let's say they tell you to put $5,000 in and you'll make $10,000, and you do it and you make the $10,000. You actually do make $10,000. What's going to happen is eventually something's going to come back to you because of your association with that individual. So what if to make that $10,000 they had to scam somebody else, a third person who you don't even know, and now that third person comes back looking for them, and then they find out you were in the deal. Now they're mad at you. Now you got to deal with that person, and you ain't had nothing to do with that. But you associated with this individual, so now you're stuck with them. All right, now the stain of their name is now on your name because you did business with this individual. So you got to be very careful about who you associate with. The law of association, folks, says what? We become the average of the people we spend the most time with. So be careful who you're spending time with because whatever they do is rubbing off on you. Even if you didn't have anything to do with it, their actions, if you're their friend, you're their associate, you're doing business with them, your name is on the same document that their name is on. All right, well, now somebody might go looking for you as the person who did them wrong just because you're associated. So that's why that matters. So let me recap these 3 things. Things to never do in business. Number 1, never delegate or abdicate the handling of the checkbook. You are in the business of making money, which means you need to be watching the money. At all times, every single day, as often as you possibly can, you should be watching the money. Never give anybody else the job of watching your money. That is your business. You should be watching the money. Number 2 is never invest in something that you do not understand and could not explain to a 5th grader. If a 10-year-old kid cannot understand the investment that you're making, that means you don't understand it clearly enough to communicate it, which means you probably should not be investing your money. And even if you're going to invest your time or energy into something, you should know what you're investing in. You should be able to clearly state, I'm doing this because and give yourself a clear reason for why you're doing it. And again, ask yourself, could a 10-year-old understand my explanation? If they could not, or if you could just test it on a 10-year-old, if they cannot understand you, that means you haven't made it clear enough yet, which means you shouldn't be doing anything. You should be spending time thinking so you can figure out what exactly am I investing in here and why can I not explain it. And number 3, never do business with a person that you don't trust out of greed for how easily or how quickly you can make your money back. So even if you do make the money back, there's some negative karma and negative energy is going to come back your way somehow, some way, because you already knew that you didn't trust that person. So you violated your own principle. You violated your own rule. There's a payback for that. There's a price to pay for doing that. And most of the time, you're not going to make your money back. You're just going to lose out on your money. And you're the dummy who went against your own principle. So you actually got a lesson. You got an education by by doing what you were not supposed to do. You got an education really quickly by doing what you did. So with all that said, if I can take a question, go ahead and post in the comments if you got a question. These are 3 things you should never do in business. Ray the Air, I appreciate you. Glad you got some value out of this. Work on Your Game University, everybody, is the place where you go for the next step. You want to take your next step in working with me, go to workonyourgameuniversity.com. That is the pinned link. There's also the link in my bio on Instagram. It is the pinned comment on Facebook, those of you watching on Facebook. If you want to get my daily motivation text, I send it out for free every single morning to everyone in my text community. Text me at my number. I just put it in the comment, 305-384-6894 is on Facebook as well. You want to text with me. I send that motivation text every morning, and I actually do respond to text messages. So just text me at that number that I just put in the chat, and you'll be able to text with me directly. And workonyourgameuniversity.com. You want to be coached by me. You want to get access to all our courses. Everything is under the umbrella of Work on Your Game University. That's the only place you get access to all that stuff. I just added a new training in there today about secret sauce to make the Dream 100 work for you. Dream 100 is just the way that the method that you use to get collaboration. So you want to do business deals with other people. You want to appear on other people's podcasts and websites and all that stuff. You want to work with other people together in the collaboration era. You got to utilize the Dream 100. I just put up a training about the secret sauce to make it work. That training is inside the university, is an exclusive training inside the university. So again, workonyourgameuniversity.com. Matt, appreciate you. Daberdeen, glad you got value out of the lesson. Appreciate you, Ray, and Turn Your Game Up. Appreciate you. You got value already from the very beginning. Glad you came in whenever you came in. So whatever you heard, it was valuable. We get value throughout. And shout out to the people who got the badges in the process. All right, everybody, I will do another live probably sometime tomorrow afternoon. But right now, I ordered Whole Foods delivery to this hotel. So I got to go pick up my Whole Foods from the front desk. Then I need to go to sleep. I need to get some rest. And we'll be back at this tomorrow. Everybody, y'all have a great Saturday night. Work on your game. We out here.